Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Teresa Giudice says tearful goodbye to one of her daughters. RHONG viewers have watched Teresa and Joe Giudice's 4 daughters literally grow up on screen. Their eldest daughter, Gia, was just 8 when the show premiered on Bravo in 2009. Teresa is one step closer to becoming an empty nester as each of her daughters leaves home to begin their next chapter. See her tearful goodbye to her daughter, Melania, as she starts her college years. The Giudice girls' college choices. Teresa Giudice shares 4 daughters with ex-husband Joe Giudice: Gia, 23, Gabriella, 19, Melania, 18, and Adriana, 14. Gia graduated from Rutgers University in 2023 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. That same year, Gabriella Giudice began her freshman year at the University of Michigan. Unlike her mom and sisters, Gabriella doesn't enjoy the spotlight and refused to let Bravo cameras film the emotional experience of leaving for college. Melania Giudice is attending the University of Tampa beginning in the fall 2024 semester. According to Bravo.com, there were 2 factors in choosing the college in South Florida. The first was the weather. "Honestly, I've grown so much to hate the cold. I'm so over the cold weather," the New Jersey native confessed. The second factor was Bermuda being just a short flight away. Her father, Joe Giudice, has lived in Bermuda for a while after being deported in 2019 following his prison stint for fraud. Teresa Giudice says tearful goodbye Melania. Teresa Giudice still has 2 daughters living at home. Her youngest, Adriana, is still a teenager and won't be heading to college for a few more years. Gia completed her undergrad studies and moved back home to New Jersey after spending some time working for a law firm specializing in immigration. She has plans to pursue her law degree eventually, but is leaning into the influencer lifestyle for now. She documented her younger sister's departure for college. The TikTok video showed Gia helping Melania pack and their heartfelt goodbye at the airport. Gia captioned the video, "And she's off. I love you so much, Melania. I can't wait to watch you do amazing things and thrive at the University of Tampa." Teresa flew with her daughter to Florida to drop her off at the college. Melania commented on the TikTok video, sobbing in the airport. Teresa will likely reunite with all of her girls for the upcoming holidays. Fans who aren't used to seeing the emotional side of that RHONG star should tune into her stirring-up drama on Season 2 of House of Villains in October. The grand hallways of Teresa Giudice's sprawling New Jersey mansion were eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the usual buzz of activity that filled the air. The house, which had always been a hive of energy with her 4 daughters laughing, arguing, and making memories, now felt overwhelmingly empty. Teresa stood in the center of the living room, her eyes sweeping over the familiar surroundings that had seen so many of their life's milestones. Today, however, was different. Today she would say goodbye to one of her daughters, and the weight of that reality was almost too much to bear. The morning sun streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow over the room. But Teresa felt anything but warm. Her heart ached, and the tears that threatened to spill over her carefully applied makeup were barely held at bay. She had always known this day would come, but nothing could have prepared her for the emotional storm brewing inside her. Gia, her eldest, was the one who had always led the way, the first to break her heart with the bittersweet reality of growing up. But it wasn't Gia this time. Today it was Gabriella, her second daughter, the quiet one, the one who always managed to keep her emotions in check, who was leaving the nest. Gabriella, with her sharp wit, independent spirit, and deep sense of responsibility, had been accepted into a prestigious university far from home. And now the day had come for her to embark on this new journey, leaving her family behind. Teresa had been dreading this day for weeks. The packing had been done, the farewell party with family and friends had been held, and now all that was left was the final goodbye. Teresa tried to stay strong, but as she watched Gabriella carry the last suitcase down the stairs, the dam holding back her emotions finally broke. "Mom," Gabriella said softly, noticing the tears that had started to fall down Teresa's cheeks. She put the suitcase down and walked over to her mother, wrapping her arms around her in a tight embrace. "It's not goodbye forever. I'll be back before you know it." Teresa nodded, trying to smile through the tears. "I know, baby, I know," But it's hard. You've always been my rock, Gabriella. You've always been the one who made sure everything was okay, even when I was falling apart. And now you're leaving. I don't know how I'm going to do this without you. Gabriella pulled back slightly, looking into her mother's eyes. You're stronger than you think, Mom. You've been through so much, and you've always come out on the other side. You'll be okay, and so will I. Teresa nodded again, this time more firmly. She knew Gabriella was right. They had been through so much as a family. The trials, the media scrutiny, the ups and downs of life in the spotlight. And they had always come out stronger. But this was different. This was the first time one of her children was leaving home, and it felt like a piece of her heart was being torn away. Gabriella smiled, that quiet, reassuring smile that had always given Teresa so much comfort. I'll call you every day, she promised. And FaceTime too. It's not like I'm disappearing off the face of the earth. Teresa laughed through her tears. You better, or I'll come to that school and drag you back home myself. Gabriella laughed too, a sound that was music to Teresa's ears. Deal, she said, wiping away one of her mother's tears with her thumb. Now come on, we have to get going, or I'm going to be late. Teresa nodded, taking a deep breath and gathering herself. She followed Gabriella out to the driveway, where the car was packed and ready to go. The other girls, Gia, Melania, and Adriana, were already outside, waiting to say their goodbyes. Gia, who had already gone through this experience herself, was the first to hug Gabriella. You're going to be amazing, she said, squeezing her sister tightly. Just remember, if you ever need anything, I'm just a phone call away. Melania, always the firecracker, was next. Don't go getting too smart for us, okay? We still need you to help us with our homework. Gabriella laughed, hugging Melania tightly. I'll always be here for you guys, no matter what. Finally, it was Adriana's turn. The youngest of the Giudice sisters, she had been the most emotional about Gabriella leaving. I'm going to miss you so much, she whispered, her voice breaking as she hugged her sister. I'm going to miss you too, Audrey, Gabriella said, holding her little sister close. But I'll be back, I promise. Teresa watched as her daughters said their goodbyes, her heart swelling with pride and sadness all at once. She knew this was a part of life, that her daughters were growing up and creating their own paths, but that didn't make it any easier. As Gabriella finally broke away from Adriana and turned to her, Teresa felt the tears welling up again. Come here, she said, opening her arms wide. Gabriella walked into her embrace, and Teresa held her tightly, not wanting to let go. I'm so proud of you. As the car disappeared around the corner, Teresa felt a wave of emotions wash over her, sadness, pride, love, and an overwhelming sense of loss. She turned to her other daughters, who were all feeling the same mix of emotions, and pulled them into a group hug. We're going to be okay, she said, her voice steady now. We've got each other, and Gabriella will be back before we know it. The girls nodded, clinging to their mother and to each other. Teresa knew they would be okay, but it would take time. For now, though, she allowed herself to feel the sadness, to mourn the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. As they stood there, huddled together in the driveway, Teresa couldn't help but think about how quickly time had passed. It felt like only yesterday that she was holding Gabriella as a baby, and now she was off to college, ready to take on the world. But that was life, she reminded herself. Her daughters were growing up, and she had to let them go, no matter how hard it was. And as much as it hurt, she knew that this was just the beginning of many more goodbyes to come. With a deep breath, Teresa pulled back from the hug and looked at her daughters. Come on, she said, forcing a smile. Let's go inside and figure out what we're going to do with all this extra space. The girls laughed, and together they walked back into the house, ready to face whatever came next.